Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be showing my favorite summer eyeshadow palettes. Welcome back, and it's time for another seasonal eyeshadow palette favorites video, and it's officially June by the time this video goes live, so we are talking summer palettes. So for me, what summer usually means with eyeshadow is that it's either warm tones or very bright colorful tones, and I think this is what people typically associate with summer because it's brighter, you have the nature that is in bloom and it's warmer, and usually people are maybe more into their colors. But of course these are palettes that you can wear any time of the year. I'm just a person who prefers to do their sort of makeup seasonally. If you are interested to see what are my summer eyeshadow palette recommendations, then keep on watching. Okay, and as we usually do these videos, I actually do have this put into categories. So I have 2 drugstore, a couple of high-end, and then the rest are indie, so we have everything for every price point. First, let's go to a drugstore one. So this is something that I actually very highly usually recommend. So this is Makeup Revolution's the True Icon palette, and these are their sort of newer eyeshadow palettes. And this is actually, I think, the best one that they have in terms of let's see, first I'm gonna be able to hold this one. Yeah, so this is actually the best one of these new type of eyeshadow palettes that they've been doing in terms of quality. This is actually one of the palettes that I would say that it looks, especially when you get this on your eyes, it looks much more expensive than it actually is. This is a very warm tone palette. You're not gonna get hugely a lot of diversity with this one, but what I especially appreciate with this one is the matte quality and also the shimmer quality, and this truly exceeded any other Makeup Revolution eyeshadow that I had, for example, tried previously. Only thing that I'm not a fan of these palettes is the cream shades. So this one has the 2 cream shades up here, and unfortunately these are shades that do, for example, on my eyelids make the eyeshadows crease, but you can ignore them and just use the mattes. And this is truly, if you're balling on a budget and you're looking for this kind of more warm-toned summer eyeshadow palette, then I would definitely buy this one. Then we have something from Morphe. I wasn't the hugest fan of the new Morphe eyeshadow palettes, but I did say that if I would have to recommend something, I would recommend the 6 pans over the bigger ones. And this is the Outer Spice palette, and I'm gonna open this one up. So this is, again, what I would say a bit on the warm side, but this isn't as perhaps maybe punchy as, for example, the Makeup Revolution one. So this is, I think, more what I would say a muted pink and golden toned 6 pan. And I do have to say, again, for summer, if your idea of summer eyeshadow palettes is especially something a bit more on the warmer side, this could be a good option. And this is probably quite easily accessible to a lot of people because I do not Morphe quite widely sold. With this one especially, if you want to get the sort of shimmer shades to pop, I would recommend using water with them, but they can be texturizing on some eyelid types, so I would be pretty careful. You can use the shimmers in this one dry, obviously, but to get the full effect, I do recommend wetting them with either setting spray or just water. But this is maybe compared to the Makeup Revolution one, as I said, maybe a bit more like muted pink golden tones rather than this very punchy orangey bronzy tone palette. Then let's go to the high-end ones. So actually we're gonna do the Not as known as in one section. I'm gonna show first one, then on Not as known one. So this is from Dior. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get this one. This was the Warm Essentials, and I was pretty impressed with this one because I do think the quality of this one rivaled the Silver Essential ones, which was one of their holiday palettes some years ago. I am still waiting for Dior to expand this Backstage 9 pan collection because I don't think we have gotten a new Backstage 9 pan for a long time. I would very much hope for a new one. These are pretty pricey for what you are able to get, and I'm a bit unsure, can you still get this one or was this a limited edition one? But if you can get this one or you have it in your collection and you want maybe something, if you don't want these super sparkly shades or you generally want a very easy formula to work with, I always say that this Backstage formula is pretty superb for the fact that how easy it is to work with because these are more satin-like shades and just how effortless everything is to combine with. This is more maybe punchier than some of the other Backstage palettes, so with this one you are definitely, even if it's this more traditional luxury formula, this does actually show up as punchy on your eyes if you layer it as it shows up in the pan. So it's a bit maybe different than maybe some other Backstage palette, but that is why I do think it's a ideal summer palette. Then maybe if you are into your maybe more pinky peachy tone, so this is from NARS, and this is the, what was this one called? Afterglow Irresistible palette, so this is how it's looking. So this does have mattes in it, but it is a bit on the more shimmer heavy palette, and I do think that this is bit similar to the Makeup Revolution one, but you maybe do get maybe a bit more pink, also like pink leaning tones in this one than just these bronzy and peachy tones. The shimmers in this one are very beautiful, and they are, compared to maybe some other NARS shimmers that I have seen, they are, I think, a bit more like punchier shimmers than maybe in some other NARS palettes. I have seen this being available on some places, but I do believe this is already getting to be an older palette. But if you are into this kind of color story for the summer and you might already have this in your collection, then I would dig it out, because I do still think that you are getting these very like warm toned summer looks when you use this one. And as I said, I do think the shimmers are stand out in this one, and they are a bit maybe different kind of shimmers than what we have usually seen from NARS. Then I have the two Natasha Denona recommendations. First one is a mini, and if this is maybe again to you if you're looking maybe a bit more subtle look for the summer. So this is the Mini Starlet palette. I got mine last year when I think I was visiting the Czech Republic. I got this on the Sephora there. So this is what I would say is a So this is what for, I think, those people that you maybe want some warm peachiness to your eye looks, but you don't want something as punchy as maybe, for example, the NARS palette. This is definitely more muted, and you get this kind of like smoky peachy look with this one, which is actually quite rare. I don't think I have a lot of palettes that I can get that kind of look. The quality is definitely a stellar Natasha Denona quality, and if you are just generally into having a smaller eyeshadow palette, you don't want any of these bigger palettes that I had maybe just showed or will show after this one, then this could be a very good option. These are very easy and convenient to travel with. As I said, very peachy, golden kind of look, but it is also very, how should I say, very easy palette to get looks with, because the 5 shades kind of also limit you. So if you are looking for something like peachy, summery with neutrals, and you're looking for something especially small and convenient, I do think this is a good choice. Then if you want something very summery and bright from Natasha Denona and you want a full-on like big palette, so this is the Bloom palette. This was a spring release last year, but I already, when I reviewed this, I was kind of thinking that yeah, for me it's a summer palette. It's so punchy. This goes to the same category as the, for example, Revolution palette or the NARS palette. Considering how many shades you get, you aren't gonna get too much versatility with this one. I did discuss that when I reviewed this one, but there is like some gradient. You get some light, you get some depth, so you can kind of like change your look depending on how much depth you want in your looks. And this has a more, what I would say, peachier tones, and then you get some tones that lean maybe a bit on the more pinkier side, but generally it's a very warm tone. Like, you are gonna get some kind of warm tone look out of this one. Unfortunately, the only downside of this one, what I would say, is that the shimmers are not maybe as the sparkliest of shimmer formula. I think with this one, I did say on the review when I reviewed this one that the shimmer formula, we kind of went back to the some, in terms of the fact that this had a bit more maybe satin-like shimmers, but, or not satin, but more like metallic-like shimmers rather than these sparkly shimmers. But I do know for some people that could actually be a plus. And if you like this kind of color story and you want to spend the Natasha Denona price for it, I like the quality of this one is still very good, but I do think you should consider that the shimmer formula, especially, it's a more metallic leaning shimmer formula. Then let's get to the indie palettes, which are maybe the more like, if you really want your like colorful eyeshadows, I have quite many. So this is the Glamlight and Garfield palette. This has been on sale quite many times. I'm a bit unsure can you still get this one, but I do think that if you are like, look at this. It's a pretty obvious like summer palette. You can do kind of a blue-purple look, muted blue-purple look with this one. It kind of has the matte blue and then one of the like multi-chromes or duochrome shimmers, which is this one. You can kind of get a bit different kind of look with this one, but you are still gonna most likely get a very neutral warm look. What I was especially impressed with this one is the shimmers, considering just how inexpensive this was. The shimmers in this one, Glamlight definitely has come out with a better shimmer formula after this one, but considering when this palette was especially launched, the shimmer formula, very sparkly, very beautiful, and even if it's an older palette, this still works out very well. So this is especially if you want something very bright and punchy, but you maybe also want your pop of purple and blue, this could be a good option. Then I think something that I think screams summer, so this is the High Temp palette, and this is from, which one was this from? Unearthly Cosmetics. So, like, if something didn't scream summer, this was a summer release a few years ago. This had a very superb matte quality. I have tried few Unearthly palettes. The first time I tried their palettes, I don't think I was that impressed with them. Then I think I got the Dreamer palette, which was a more cool tone palette, with that one I was kind of thinking that it was definitely better than the previous palettes, but I still wasn't like thinking that it's gonna be my like favorite absolute indie formula. Then I tried this one and I was like thinking that where has this formula been, because this truly like how well the mattes in this one work. They are very like pigmented, but they blend in together. Then while you don't get a lot of shimmers in this one, but the shimmers in this one also, for example, compared to Dreamer palette, they were just on a next level. They were very punchy. They were very, you could definitely see them when you were like, definitely had the like multi and duochrome effects that they had. It was very visible when you put them into your eyes. And overall, this was a very, for me, a very exciting palette to work with when I tried this out, and especially considering that I usually don't do all matte looks with palettes, but with this one I actually did do them because I felt that it inspired me to do them, just considering the matte formula. Bit unsure, can you get this? I do believe Monolith Shop still has had this at least some point listed on their website. On Anatoly's own website, I'm a bit unsure, but if you can get this, and this is especially this sort of sunset kind of color story is what summer is to you, I would get it because the quality is superb and just the overall color story is very, very much screams summer. Then if you are looking for something maybe a bit more earthy tone, this is actually was almost ranked the highest colorful eyeshadow palette, but then there was something else that I think ranked even higher last year. So this is the Whispering Woods from Ensley Rain. This was actually, I think, their summer release from last year. And yeah, this is a green purple palette that also had some warmth to it. This was a just overall very beautiful palette to work with. The only downside with this one is that some of the shimmers in this one, while they are these very effective multichrome and duochrome shimmers, some of them did crease on me. So if you have eyelids that do tend to have this issue, you should maybe be warned before buying this one. But even if the shimmers did crease, I did enjoy working with this one. I just enjoyed the diversity because you could do a muted green look with this one, but then you did have the purples. You could do a bit something grungy with this one, but then you also did get the warmth with the sort of purples what I'm talking about, so oranges and yellows that are included in this one. So if you are into this kind of color story for summer, and I think very especially if you like something a bit more earthy toned for the summer, this could be a very like ideal palette for you. The Ensley Rain palettes are a bit on the pricier side, so before buying, always make the consideration, is it worth your money? But I do say that if you generally have enjoyed Ensley Rain's quality and this is something you can still get for the summer, or if you got this last summer, I would just dig it out because I do remember that I was just very, very inspired and very excited to work with this one. And you did get a decent amount of versatility with this one, which is always a plus. Then a older palette, which I do think that this might be my last summer and last year with this particular one. So this is Cosmic Beauty's Royal Rose palette. So this was actually their first ever eyeshadow palette release, but it was actually the Serenity palette that came out after this one that got them more like hype and made them very popular. This is a nice palette in terms of the fact that you get some neutrals in this one, but you do get some warm tones and then you even get some pops of color. So there is the pop of blue and then you get actually a fun green shimmer. The age definitely shows with this one, especially the shimmer formula in this one we have seen much better from Cosmic Beauty, but considering that this was their actually first palette, I do have to say it's still very impressive what they were able to do, especially considering like the matte formula in this one, it's still very on par with even their newer palettes. As I said, for me, I think just because of the age of this one, I am probably going to be decluttering this after this year, but if you have this still in your collection, I would say summer is maybe a perfect time to try this out because there is just, I think, so much you can do with this one. You can do a bit more neutral, but then you can do actually something punchier and you can even do something like colorful. So with this one, you're not just stuck doing warm tone and neutral looks, you do get some pops of other colors too. And as I said, the matte formula still works out beautifully. The shimmer formula, you might want to maybe, if the shimmers in this one aren't appealing to you anymore because they are more like metallic kind of shimmers, then you can go to other palettes. But the shimmers also like still do work quite well, even if it's on the older side. Then I think last palette, and this is a bit of a bigger palette. So this is from Clarity. This is the Clarity Rain palette. This is actually still the first Clarity palette and only Clarity palette that I have in my collection. And this is what I would say if you are kind of looking everything for a summer palette. So this you do have the option to go neutral, but you also do have the option to go colorful. And I kind of like that we get some like more muted tones, but you also get some more punchier tones. I was pretty impressed with Clarity's matte formula. I do have to say that I was a bit skeptical, especially when I got this, and considering the amount of shades, I was thinking that, okay, usually with a palette this big we get kind of dud shades, especially with them, because this is a more matte heavier palette. I was thinking that some of the mattes are not going to be good, but actually with the mattes I had no issues. The only gripe I had with this one, and especially because it's a majority of a matte heavy palette, so this shimmer over here, this is a hot mess to work with. It's a very loosely packed, almost like when you try to put this on your eyes, I had shimmer like all over under my eyes, and it was like the shimmer got, I tried to use brushes and my fingers, and I tried all the tricks, and I still had like more of the shimmer like everywhere else except on my eyelids. So that is the only downside of this one, that not all the shimmers were like perfect, and when you have a like fewer shimmers, you kind of expect that those would work out perfectly. But if you are especially maybe more into your matte looks and this kind of color story appeals to you, I do think that from Clarity this isn't a bad option. This is a bit more heavier palette. The pans are magnetized, so if you want to take out some of the shades and put them into your custom palettes, that is also possible. But yeah, for Clarity, as I said, this is the only palette that I have tried from them, but I was pretty impressed with this one, especially especially for the more like colorful matte shades and matte shades in general. And you also have the option to go neutral with this one, so if you want to do maybe a pop of like look that has a pop of color, you can do it with this one too. Those were all the summer palette recommendations that I had. Comment down below what kind of palettes you like to use during the summer time. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I can see you in the video. Bye bye!